Smart 24, driving business.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the show. Thank you so much for watching Smart 24 TV and for being our ardent viewers. My name is Anthony. This is The Point, and on The Point we analyze economic policy. Remember, you can catch the show live on our YouTube channel, that's at Smart 24 TV now, or on both our GOTV and DSTV channels 302 and 372 respectively. Definitely we are up to business 24 hours, 7 days a week. And in this edition, we give you an analysis of new policies, of new laws and enactments, and of course, amendments in different acts that are affecting business in Uganda. Now today, we have a very special discussion on the Market Act that was amended this year. Upon its inauguration, the 11th Parliament set out to definitely work for the people and legislate by making laws that are intended to change the lives of the minority and majority of Ugandans in order to maintain the objective of Vision 2040, that is strengthening the fundamentals of the economy to harness the abundant opportunities around the country. This is the spirit in which the Market Act 2023 was enacted and amended. Because of the fundamentals of our economy are anchored within the private sector and the minority, which is sometimes not catered for, it was thought through that this Market Act, which was made in 1942, by the way, be amended to be, of course, inclusive with market operators, market licensors, being able to reach out to the minority groups. With the new law in place, ownership of markets has been opened up to include individual operators as opposed to previous legal regime, which have restricted ownership to government. And this means that it's an idea of private players in the market getting also to enjoy what is theirs. Joining me to discuss this and more and what the relevance of this Market Act amendment means to you is none other than Mrs. Maureen Wagubi, who is an entrepreneur, but also the executive director of the Institute for Social Transformation. She's together with Catherine, and Catherine is also a market player. When you talk about market women, you can never leave out women like Catherine. She's doing a lot in IST, but also participating in the market vending that we are discussing. You're most welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I'm going to start first of all with getting your opinion and views on this amendment of the Market Act 2023. The Market Act that has been present was last amended, if not formulated, in 1942. How do you feel that now in 2023, over 80 years later, we have this act amended? Ms. Maureen.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. I thought you were going to start with Catherine to give that.
Both of you, I would start with that, but both of you are ladies, so I...
Catherine, would you love to go first?
You can start.
Okay. Yeah, what does it mean to us? Really, for us, it's a celebration that we have an act after 80 years. Yeah, because you see that when we talk about markets, markets have changed. We no longer have the old markets the way it used to be, the colonial markets of the time. So there are so many changes that have happened. We have different categories of markets, the street and what, supermarkets, which were not there. So we appreciate on that lane. But also that the Market Act is here, we celebrate that at least there will be proper order governing these markets. Because before, anybody would come in and you set up a market, as long as you have space, set up a market. But what are the requirements for you to set up this market to ensure that the environment is safe for everyone? So for us, we feel that this act is really going to help us to streamline how to operate and how to set up these markets to ensure that the customers, the vendors, and the leaders, and the owners, we are all in harmony. But also looking at the, the viability of the markets vis-a-vis the taxes that the country also needs. And we believe that, with this Market Act, we will be able at least to have, a streamlined kind of process for gathering the taxes from these spaces, which has not been there before.
No.
Yes.
Madam Catherine Nanzige, how do you feel about the Act Amendment, the Market Act Amendment 2023, given the fact that it has come at a time when there's a lot of confusion amongst the market vendors, amongst the authorities, there's a lot of hula-baloo going on between the leaders and the market players. How do you feel that finally the market people have an act or a law that is going to be able to streamline your activities?
We celebrate and we are happy that the Market Act was signed, but still it has very many gaps. And somewhere we are still confused. We have the presidential directive, we have the market ordinance, we have this act. So many vendors do not understand the three. There is a lot to be done about it, because recently we've been having challenges with KCCA. They took over the leadership of the market. And again, the Lord Mayor will talk about something different, that it is because the ordinance is not yet signed. So as we celebrate that this act was signed, but still we have these challenges whereby we need the responsible people to guide on the three. Because KCC comes in and tells you it has a directive, a presidential directive, which they want to put in place. Then at the same time, they have the market ordinance. Then this time we are having the what? The Market Act. So as we celebrate that it was signed, we need to be guided. We need to be sensitized. Some of the people do not even know what the Market Act means. What is it that is inside? As some of us have got some information about it, some of the women down there, they even don't understand it. What is it for? How is it going to help us? How is it going to, So I think we have to first understand the three, and we see how we shall do it, follow. And for example, let me first talk about the gap, because I was once a leader in the market and I'm still a leader. But you cannot tell us that it has given opportunity for the departmental leaders and the leadership, the top leadership, is not included in the Market Act. We've gotten challenges. For example, these people always operate through loans. Who will recommend them? Who will sign for them? Because we have more than 40 departments, and those people do not have stamps. You see? Where would they get the recommendation from? We've got what we call welfare. For example, currently we have someone who fell in the toilet just because of the poor conditions of the toilets. She was operated, the brain. But now we are mobilizing through the chairperson. We mobilize funds. They requested for 4 million, and we were able to get that money. But if we don't have that leadership, how shall we do it? Because KCC or the Act will just tell you that they just appoint, and they give you the market administrator and the market master. These people do not know us. They don't know us. And you can't tell them that, please help us mobilize. They won't. For them, they come to do what? Technical work. Full stop. They will never...
Madam Catherine, when you talk about this act, one of the things that parliamentarians highlighted is the fact that it will open these markets to individual ownership or private ownership. When you look at the leadership, you've said we have top leadership and then the department leadership. How has the leadership been before? Of course, it hasn't been implemented, but what is the current situation? What is the status quo? What is the hierarchy in the markets? Who leads the other? Is it the Kampala Capital City Authority? Are they the leaders within the departments? And who elects them?
Now, like before, we had the leadership from the department leaders. Then we go to the zone leaders. We have 6 zones, but even those 6 zones, they've gotten leaders. Six: the chairperson, the vice, the secretary for women, the secretary for youth. Then again, we have the top leadership.
So who is at the top leadership?
The chairperson of the market.
Is he someone from the market?
Yes,
Okay.
that is how it has been. But now KCC is telling us that it is no more. And even in the Market Act, it is not included. Market leadership is not included, the top one. They just talked about the department leaders. So we see that that is a very big gap.
Yeah. And I agree. Mrs. Maureen, according to the legislators here, the previous legal regime restricted ownership mainly to government. And this means that the idea of private players being able to, looking at the wrangles over the few markets, this is what government is saying will come to an end by giving more power to the private players to be able to also set up markets and find their own market vendors. And the only thing government is saying is going to do is going to license these people. Do you think this is going to be a solution to the wrangles, especially in the leadership of markets?
Thank you very much, Anthony, and thank you, Catherine, for the presentation. You know, for me now, where we are going, I want us to be talking, as we refer to the Act as well, because it's now the guiding document. Catherine highlighted issues to do with the ordinances and then the conflicting documents. Yes. But with all the documents that were there before, this is the grounding document. They are supposed to be aligning to the Market Act, the current one, meaning that all the ordinances that have been there before, they have to go through a review as well to ensure that they align with what the Act is saying. Catherine had highlighted the issue to do with the administration and authority issues, but the Act tells us the purpose of the administration. And in Kampala City, they say the administration authority shall be the executive director. And then in city municipalities or town, the administrative authority shall be the town clerk. And in districts, the administrative authority shall be the chief administrative officer. And in city division or municipal division, the administrative authority shall be the assistant town clerk. And in sub-county, the administrative authority shall be the sub-county chief. So we have those already. It is telling us the leaders that will be governing at the, they call them what? Those levels. Yeah. But again, it also goes back and say, okay, I don't want to to take time. But there is somewhere telling us who the leaders are going to be. So, if we are talking about the private ownership of these markets and taking away all the wrangles that have been there, I think this is a process that has just started. We are in the process. We have not even reached there to really evaluate its performance. So from that angle, for me, I say, let us first appreciate what is in here, and then so that people can get to understand what does the Act say? What are we supposed to do? But as Catherine has already highlighted, there are challenges. People don't understand what the Act entails. What is in this? And how are they supposed to put it together? And this is where the Ministry of Local Government is coming in also to work on the regulations. Because now the regulations will come and actualize the Market Act. And that's when we can say, okay, this is what it means when it comes to the leadership of the public government, public markets. Yeah. ABCD should be in order. If you're to set up a market, if you want to set up a market as a private individual, this is the process, because it's also here in the Act. This is what you're supposed to go through for you to set up a market. This is what we need. Do you have the land? Do you have the funds? You see, is the land enough for you to set up the daycare centers? Is the land enough for you to set up the toilets? You know, do we have the ramps set up for the people with disabilities to be able to access the spaces? You see, and then again for the leadership, what I appreciated about the leadership side is that there is for the departments, because they're talking about departments, there is a woman and there is a man for department leaders, that there must be a man and a woman. For me, I appreciate that, because before it wasn't. But here now we know that for us to elect, there must be a woman and there must be a man. And these are the people who will be responsible for the orderliness of our department, to ensure that we are clean, to ensure that the garbage is collected, to ensure that all our members are doing well, or presenting our issues that are affecting us as a department to the top level, because the levels are going to be there. But the regulations are the ones that are going to actualize the Market Act.
What was there before? We discussed something before the show about the ownership. You said even in the past we've always had government markets, and we've had private markets. What new thing is there to be streamlined by this act in as far as these different ownerships are concerned? Because it's like government is taking its hands off the deck, saying, okay, now we want to let the private players play, and the only thing we are going to do is license, the only thing we are going to do is come and collect taxes. Is there a difference between the new, the leadership now that we are going to be able to have in the markets from the previous?
Yes. Anthony, for me, if we have to look back, the way people were operating the markets, it was totally different. I would come, set up my market, I say, yes, I go through maybe town council, they give me the license, I set up my market. But there are other things, like I already alluded to them, that were not there. They were not being, taken care of. But now, government is saying, okay, we shall give you a license for you to set up your market. But ABC should be in order. And government is also coming in to say, the council, especially for the public markets, will be able to determine, because the determination of the taxes, of the fees that you're going to levy on people, which wasn't there before. For example, in private markets, I wake up today, I need, let me say 20 million today. So I'll come and say, Anthony, I need, you're going to pay 3,000. That's what I want everybody to pay, 3,000 shillings.
Based on what?
Based on what? As in, there are no parameters. So what do you base on to charge me 3,000? Just wake up. So this is going to streamline and say, we have determined that markets, let me say that are in Kawempe, this is what they pay, you see. But all these, like I'm saying, and stipulating and imagining, they are going to be put in the regulations so that people can know when they say taxes, what does it mean? When they say the physical space, where should it be? Should it be in Entobas? Because people have been setting up markets in swamps. You've seen them. There are so many markets. So are we looking at the environmental challenges when you're setting up a market? So there are a number of things that we have to look at before setting up a market. And for me, I feel this is good. Government will be able also to get the taxes, but also government going forward to say that we need to digitalize the system of collecting these fees. Because somewhere government is also missing out. And then there is also, I don't know whether they call it counterfeiting or something, like people are not truthful when we talk about the numbers of vendors in the markets. You see, we underreport. We are underreporting the numbers of vendors. That means the government is also losing on the fees that people are paying. So here the act is telling you that for you to set up this market, you have to set up even all the people who are in the market. So everyone is responsible to check, is my name there? Or it is not on that list. You are supposed to show who is who. Where do they come from? Do you have their names? For security purposes. We need all this information of people who are operating in the markets. So for me, I feel the law is...
But still, these markets do differ. For example, like Naka market, the land belongs to KCCA or it's government land, but then the buildings are owned by the vendors. They constructed that market themselves. They borrowed money from Cairo Bank by then, and they constructed that in partnership with KCCA. But now, government wants to come and take over. So the vendors are saying, if you want to take over the market, you compensate us, those that constructed, those that built, let them be paid, and then they can take, because now, like, I will talk, let me say, and give an example of my mom. She's no longer in the market, she's home. But again, she has a store where she's getting some rent out of it. But then government is saying, no more what? Renting. It is not sub-renting. It was not sub-renting because they were given allocation letters by KCCA. You know, that is different. It is not like one day market that was constructed and people were given shops or stores. But these ones, these people constructed or built the stores. So if this lady has been getting this money to cater for her old age, if you want to take over a retake, just compensate her than taking it freely. Because she paid that money from a bank and with interest.
But according to the Act, for example, Register of Vendors, I'm looking at Part 4, Register of Markets and Vendors. The administrative authority shall keep and maintain a register of all vendors operating in a public market. And they're saying a private market operator, that's subsection 2, shall keep and maintain a register of all the vendors operating in the market. It seems to me like they're giving you more leverage. They're giving you more authority over what you're going to do in the market. They're only saying that for you to register, there are certain conditions you have to fulfill. You must have a certain standard, and then the rest government is going to handle. But it's not like I think government is taking over. They're actually getting to give you more authority and power. To set up more markets, that's what it looks like. To set up more markets, to be able to get more vendors the way you would wish, but under a certain regulation. Don't you think this is going to help you as vendors to be able to actually have more freedom?
I doubt whether we shall have more freedom, because like when they bring in the market master, the market admin, then we still have these enforcement people. Right now in Aka market, they're in charge of allocating spaces. And for that, for you to get that
the KCCA?
Yes.
The KCCA authorities?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're asking for much money from the vendors. Yet they were telling us that they're stopping leadership because these people have been getting money from the vendors. And KCCA is doing the opposite. Yeah. So how is that helping us?
But also under designation of departments in markets. Every market, that's part 5 of management of markets. They're saying every market shall have departments spatially delineated and organized based on goods and services provided. An administrative authority or private market operator shall be responsible for designating the departments in a market under his or her jurisdiction. So it looks like these departments you've been having, they're saying we can have a private market operator who is going to control them. We don't have to be there to sneak in. And maybe also to just ask Mrs. Maureen, this is going to take a while for us to get to realize the full implementation of the Act. At least they have said 3 or more years. I don't know if some of these things, like she has mentioned already, the KCCA, they are still there amongst the vendors, they are still inconveniencing them. Isn't this a period so long for us to have such an Act implemented?
Thank you, Anthony. First of all, you know, some of these things, if it took us 80 years without the Act, and we have been in confusion, what does 3 years mean to you? You see, there's some of the things, you don't think that you put something today and tomorrow it will be enforced already. You understand? Because even the government doesn't have enough resources to implement. And like Catherine said, markets have unique challenges. For example, now for Nakawa, at least you can hear that it is the vendors who mobilize their resources to put out the structures. However much the land belongs to the government. So how do you come and say, now we are taking over this market? And now the Act is here. How do we harmonize? So this means that the vendors have to come back on a drawing board with the Ministry of Local Government, who is the, the total, who is in charge, and then they agree on the way forward. Otherwise, for me, this side, I see there is a lot of confusion, which is not going to be sorted now, and it's not going to be sorted because of this Act, but there is a lot that we need to do. So the regulations, when the regulations are in place, we shall be able to move. But for now, 3 years is nothing to the 80 years that we have been without the Act. So for me, that is nothing. We shall move.
Thank you, Mrs.
gradually.
We're going to take a very quick breather. My name is Anthony. This is The Point. We are analyzing the Market Act amended 2023, and we've discussed quite a number of things. When we return after the break, we want to look at some of the gaps that are in this law and see how we can address them. What are some of the challenges that market vendors think should be addressed, and have they been addressed by this law? In the same vein, those who violate the laws under this Act will be penalized, and some of the of the punishments that have been listed by this act include a fine of 2.4 million shillings and jail for at least 2 years or more. Are these fair, and are they welcome by the vendors? My name is Anthony. We are The Point. Stay with us.